Good, happy Sunday afternoon, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to Politics with Riley King. Let's begin. First up, Buttigieg, Gillibrand, Booker make stops in New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
Goodale's Bike Shop is New England's largest bicycle store. April 4th through the 15th, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary with store-wide savings on bicycles and accessories. Over 3,000 bicycles ready to roll. We guarantee you smiles for miles. Goodale's Bike Shop, the right bike, the right fit, right now.
A busy day of visits by candidates and those still considering a run. Senator Cory Booker rounding out the day with a visit to the home of State Senators Shannon Shanley and Tom Sylvia in Amherst tonight. Booker talked about the power of the people and its importance throughout history and now.
I believe that the biggest threat we have is the divisions we have between each other that prevent us from standing strong, standing together, and fighting to make this nation who we say we are. The land of opportunity, a place of liberty and justice for all.
Meantime, earlier in the day, Pete Buttigieg, the 37-year-old mayor of South Bend, Indiana, spent time with voters who packed into Gibson's bookstore in Concord to hear him speak. Buttigieg says this race is about freedom, security, democracy, and bringing generations together.
We need to tell a different story than the one that's being sold out of the White House, which would have you believe that the only way to speak to communities like yours and like mine is through resentment.
Also in Concord, Kirsten Gillibrand spoke to a crowd at the Concord Parks and Recreation Community Center. The senator from New York took questions from voters in a town hall-style event, from legalizing marijuana to supporting veterans and investing in clean air and water. She says she has the bravery and skills to beat Donald Trump in 2020.
I feel so called at this moment to do whatever I can to defeat what he has created. That is why I voted against him more than any other senator in the U.S. Senate.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Newest presidential candidate Mayor Wayne Mizma to make first New Hampshire visit May 2nd. Miramar, Florida Chief Executive, to speak to Raymond Democrats on May 2nd. As his national promise raises, Buttigieg makes return to New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Goodale's Bike Shop is New England's largest bicycle store. April 4th through the 15th, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary with store-wide savings on over 3,000 bikes ready to roll. We stock bicycles and accessories for every riding style. Goodale's Bike Shop, the right bike, the right fit, right now.
From his first visit to the state in February, Pete Buttigieg has been able to draw a crowd, and there seems to be a common refrain among even seasoned first-in-the-nation primary voters.
I had another friend who had seen him in an event and said, "Oh, you absolutely have to go see this guy," and she's right.
Now that buzz is nationwide, and Buttigieg returns to New Hampshire Friday evening for the first time since reaching the donor threshold to qualify for the primary debates, and some polls that show him making a move toward the front of the Democratic pack.
The first indication we had of it was a couple days before that CNN event. We were in Portsmouth, and we were walking into what I expected would be a meet and greet, and it turned out to feel more like a rally.
Speaking to News 9 by phone as he travels to the Granite State, Buttigieg says he wants to ensure voters can still see past the national media hype. But for this visit, the mayor has already had to move one event to a larger venue to accommodate the anticipated crowd. While some candidates are opting for big rallies in New Hampshire over smaller events, Buttigieg is going to try to stick with the grassroots approach for as long as he can.
even now in this very digital, very media-driven environment, there's lots to be said for just get to know somebody. It's old-fashioned, and it's still a really important part of politics. And, it's one reason you'll keep seeing me coming to visit.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Elizabeth Warren to host a Women's Economic Issues Conversation to begin campaign visit April 13th, April 12th to the 13th. Democratic presidential candidate to return again on April 20th for organization event in Keene. Democrat presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren will hold a community conversation on women economic issues to launch a 2-day campaign swing in New Hampshire on April 12th to the 13th. The Massachusetts senator will then return again on April 20th for an organization event in Keene. The visit will be her 7th and 8th trips to the state since beginning in 2019. John Delaney to unveil Youth National Service Plan during busy 17th campaign visit to New Hampshire. Democrat presidential candidate to return to New Hampshire April 14th through the 16th. Schedules 11 stops. Democrat presidential candidate John Delaney will detail his plan to create a national service program for newly graduated high school students when he returns to New Hampshire on April 14th to begin a packed 3-day, 11-stop statewide campaign swing. Where the investigation related to Trump stands. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC News.
One word, big egg. The new fresh beef quarter pounder bacon or deluxe. 2 new ways to leave you speechless. Pair it with any size soft drink for just $1.
The other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, congressional Democrats wrapping up their investigations of President Trump. Let's bring in our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, for more on that. And Terry, that new demand for President Trump's taxes, both sides are digging in for what could be a very long fight.
They sure are, George. Good morning. And it's going to be an important fight, too. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, on behalf of Congress, she issued a threat. She said, turn over the tax returns, and we're not walking away just because you say no the first time. Well, President Trump hasn't quite said no, but he sure is sending signals. In the Oval Office yesterday, I asked him about it, and he said, quote, they can talk to my lawyers and to the Attorney General. Now, that answer may indicate the president is preparing to fight on 2 fronts. First, his own lawyers as a private citizen who has rights just like everyone else. Second, he might be getting the Attorney General involved because he's prepared to mount a constitutional defense, a separation of power defense. Congress harassing the president. Hard to say right now. But for sure, the law is clear. It says the Treasury Secretary shall turn over tax returns when the appropriate congressional authorities ask for them. This is going to the courts. It's a case of first impression. If it gets to the Supreme Court, there are those 2 Trump appointees, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, nailing down a conservative majority up there.
Yeah, in fact, that law was written in 1924 in the wake of another presidential scandal, the Teapot Dome scandal. Meantime, they're also seeing the subpoenas coming for the Mueller report, as well as we're expecting perhaps that to come out next week. And Michael Cohen seems to be making a bid to Congress to keep him out of jail for a little while longer.
That's exactly what's happening, George. He doesn't want to go to prison, Michael Cohen. Nobody does. He's scheduled to go next month, and he has now sent a letter to several top Democrats in Congress, Democrats only, saying, I have found more documents that might be helpful to the investigation of President Trump. So let me stay out of prison, perhaps get a reduced sentence so I can help with these continuing investigations. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, he's saying it's a case of selective prosecution. Terry Moran, thanks very much.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that's going to do it for this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. I hope you all enjoyed this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. I'll see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics with Riley King. Have a great week ahead of you all, everyone, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Goodbye, everyone.